Good morning and welcome to our service for Sunday, August 14th, 2022. Greetings from Unity of Wimberley to all of our friends watching us online. We are connected to you in spirit by the one presence, the one source, and we encourage you to reach out to us by email or in person. We affirm that every person is a holy being and every place is holy ground. We know that wherever we are, God is. Today, we are excited to welcome our special guest speaker, Rick Busby. Rick is a licensed Unity teacher, a writer, a songwriter, a musician, a recording artist, a public speaker, and creative business consultant living in Austin. Attending Unity churches since 1995, he has been a member of Unity Church of the Hills in Austin since 2001. Rick has communicated the Unity message in words and song at Unity churches in and throughout Central Texas and beyond. Welcome, Rick. We're happy to have you with us today as we explore the creative power and energetic presence of the one love. Welcome home, Curtis Bringle. We missed you. And welcome Bach Norwood on bass. Bach is filling in for our beloved Jeff Stockey, who is currently in Alaska visiting his family. Now, let's stand and join Curtis, Bach, Julie Reagans, and Bruce Wayne as we sing our welcome song.
2, 3, 4. Take a look at the person next to you. Say God loves you and I love you too. Feel the love in the sanctuary. Lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love, we come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love. Take a look at the person next to you. Say, I recognize the God in you. Feel the love in the sanctuary. Lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love, we come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love, in every walk of life, in every creed and color, in kinship we unite. It's in order of the God in each other. Take a look at the person next to you. Say namaste out loud to you. Feel the love in the sanctuary. Lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love, we come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love, we come together. Yeah, we come together. We come together. In the name of love, we come together. We come together. We come together. In the name of love.
Wow, could y'all feel that? I felt it. Please join me as we affirm our statement of faith. together. There is only one presence and one power active in the universe and in my life, God the good, omnipotent. And now let us unite our spirits as we hold this vision for our church together. We are an open-hearted spiritual community, powerfully transforming our world by honoring the sacred in all. And we practice this mission together. Inspired by our shared spiritual awakening, we offer practical teachings that empower healthy, abundant, and meaningful living. Today's daily word reading is holy. Everyone just say that. Holy. I discover holiness everywhere and in everyone. There are certain places I visit where the presence of God feels especially near. Places that feel holy. These may include churches and other houses of worship, shrines, favorite places in nature, any destination where I become vividly aware of the divine presence being holy ground. I remember these words from the Prayer for Protection by Unity poet James Dillett Freeman. Wherever I am, God is. The divine presence I know lives within me. It is the true essence of my life and every life. Today, my understanding expands. I discover the divine presence all around me and find holiness everywhere. Every person is a holy being. Every place is holy ground. And from Genesis 28:16, then Jacob woke up from his sleep and said, surely the Lord is in this place, and I did not know it. And now with our gathering prayer, Jan McGowan.
Good morning, my friends.
Good morning.
Well, this morning, Lori and I were just talking about this. How do you prepare a prayer? And so I look at my calendar and I see week at a glance, and oh, I'm up next Sunday. Okay, all right, you're in charge. So this week, and this is amazing that this is what I'm going to pray about and what Lori just said. Hang on. Here we go. All right. This is the gathering prayer. And it's just that. We gather our energies together. And this vibration is a vibration of the root chakra, helping us to be grounded, be heavy, be here now. The poem I've chosen is by Dana Falls, Faulds, from the book One Soul. Circle. When we sit here in a circle and grow still, the energy of spirit fills us. Until we surrender to silence, we stay on the choppy surface of the mind. As the breath grows quiet, we go behind thought, beneath confusion, fear, and doubt. When we sit here in a circle and grow still, the mystery of truth and vastness transforms our separate energies into one heart, one consciousness, one being, present and fulfilled. Wherever I am, God is. The divine presence lives within all of us. Every place is holy ground. And so it is.
When we are resting We're drawn by your kindness, the hold of your gaze. 1,000 distractions are melting away. And when we look to you, when we see your face, any simple room is a holy place. So lead me by the hand, teach our longing hearts that all we ever needed is to be where you are. When we are sinking in a sea of despair, asking would this have happened if you had been there. Our welcome is weakness, 'cause you moved us to fears. You've tasted our strangers, Lord, you've been here. And when we look to you, when we see your face, any simple room is a holy place. So lead us by the hand, teach our loving hearts that all we ever needed is to be where you are, our refuge and our rescue. We want to be where you are, and our rescue and our refuge. We want to be where you are. When we look to you, when we see your face, any simple room is a holy place. So lead us by the hand and teach our loving hearts that all we ever needed is to be where you are. Oh, to be where you are.
So we good, Jason? Excellent. Good morning, everyone. I can't tell y'all what a thrill and a blessing it is to be here with you all today. I do speak in Unity churches almost every Sunday. My home church is Unity Church of the Hills, but I'm never there usually unless I'm speaking at one of the two services there. Get to travel around the Central Texas Hill Country, so every Sunday morning's work day, and I get a beautiful drive, out here. Today I came out here by a different path. I plugged in Red Hawk Road, and it took me down 35 and through Kyle, so I kind of came in the back way today as opposed to going into Dripping Springs and turning left on 12. So that's a big benefit of speaking on Sundays throughout the Hill Country, is just putting it into the map and just trusting where the map is going to take you, and I just get to see this beautiful country everywhere. And I just really enjoyed my drive out here this morning to see you all. My journey to being an LUT and becoming a regular speaker actually in some ways began right here at Unity Church of Wimberley. Back in early 2009, there was a gathering of Central Texas ministers and LUTs here that was put together by Donald Laughlin, who was from my church. And I was at the beginning of my SCE studies at that point in time. I don't even think I had 2 or 3 classes underneath my belt. I wasn't even thinking about LUT, much less speaking in churches. And Donna invited me to come down here to play music for that gathering. And at that gathering, I met a couple of local ministers, and then before you knew it, they were calling me to play music. And then one of the ministers had to go to Unity Village, and he asked me to speak. And then it's just been kind of going organically ever since then. I've never ever once called to say, hey, can you book me as a speaker? Everything has just kind of come as a request. So as you start kind of seeing all these different churches around, it's like, after a little while, I was like, well, I haven't spoken at Wimberley yet. wonder when that's going to happen. And I'm really extra pleased here today because I didn't know y'all were going to have Batman playing the drums here. So that's a real thrill for me to have Batman on the drums today. So today's talk is titled One Love. And I've been delivering this talk in one form or another over the last 4 weeks or so. And it's gone by different names each week that I've done it. The first one was One is the Holiest Number. You know, remember the Harry Nilsson song, One is the Loneliest Number. One day I was listening to that song and I was like, well, that's not really true, is it? It's not really lonely if you're one in the oneness with everybody else. It's really the holiest number. And so I kind of bagged that as a talk title. I think I wrote a blog article around that time whenever that occurred to me. And so I kind of trotted it out here about a month ago when I was working on diving down deeper into this idea of one power, one presence. And if there is one power and one presence, which I do believe and which we teach in unity, and we call that power God, we say that power is good, and then God goes by many other names and attributes. And one of the principal ones that, God is love. We've all heard that in one context or another. So if there's only one power, one presence, and it's God, and God is good, and God is love, then really there's only one love. Of course, in Miracles teaches this. I should also say that, like, where I draw from, my friend Tammy Lorraine calls me a Fillmorian fundamentalist. And that's mainly because I focus on the principles, I focus on the 12 powers, and I do a lot of metaphysical unpacking of different things. And I kind of stay focused on the fundamentals. I'm a baseball fan, and so if anybody that follows baseball, that after the long season, they take a few months off and everything. These are highly paid professionals, right? But when they come back to spring training, they spend the first couple of months doing what? Practicing the fundamentals all over again to get themselves conditioned so that as we practice the fundamentals, at a certain point in time, it just becomes sort of a global skill. It's something that we integrate into us. And we're no longer really thinking about the fundamentals. We're just embodying those fundamentals and living from that. And to me, that's one of the ways that I use the 5 principles, which Ellen Davenport, who was a former minister here, she's now written the definitive book on the 5 principles. And so it's been this kind of journey of learning to embody the principles so that they're not just thoughts or intellectual concepts. Hey, there's only one power, one presence active in my life and in the universe. God's good. I'm created in the image and likeness of this one power, one presence. Therefore, I have a divine identity as part of my foundational nature. I'm co-creating my experience by the thoughts and the feelings that I am allowing to dominate in the activity of my thinking and feeling nature. If I want to connect with that divinity, I go within, go into the silence. And then I'm practicing by using affirmative languaging and so forth. And that 5th principle is that action principle. It's the one that basically says to us, hey, these other 4 principles, they don't really mean anything. They don't have any effect and consequence or power in your life unless you're willing to act on them and express them and embody them. So how do we move from all these intellectual concepts and everything and to integrate them into our being to where we're no longer thinking about them? And that's a journey. That's not we can talk about it this morning and go, yeah, I agree with that. I've found that to be true in my own experience and everything, and I see that. And then we bump up against things out here in the world. I've heard that, there will always be wars and rumors of wars in the world. We're not just talking about military conflicts. We're talking about anything that is competing with us for our internal peace. Anything. That can come up in, manifold forms and the ways that we're challenged day in and day out to not only maintain peace in the activity of our consciousness, but to actually embody and act upon these principles that we say we believe. So I want to begin here this morning by reading something from Charles Fillmore. What I'm getting ready to read to you actually just comes from the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, and it's under the heading of love and what Charles thinks about love. And if y'all know the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, that's really kind of a condensation and a compendium of Charles's writings on these various subjects in other books and so forth, and they bring them into this Metaphysical Bible Dictionary. So that's where this comes from. The pure essence of being that love is the pure essence of being that binds together the whole human family. Of all the attributes of God, love is undoubtedly the most beautiful. In divine mind, love is the power that joins. In reality, there is only one love, and when we express divine love in limited ways, he makes a separation in consciousness, and our expression of love is personal instead of universal. Any Course in Miracles students here? So you know the concept in A Course in Miracles where it talks about the difference between special relationships and holy relationships. And a special relationship, in short, is any relationship where I have assigned the meaning and purpose of that relationship. That if I'm saying, in order for me to be in relationship to you and with you, you must play this particular part, then I'm bringing it down into a limited expression, saying, in order for you to prove your love to me, if you loved me, then you would, and just kind of fill in the blank with whatever request comes from that. That's how we're practicing it in limited ways, in special ways. And a holy relationship, by contrast, is any relationship where I have allowed the divine, allowed God to show me what the purpose of that relationship is. And fundamentally and foundationally, the purpose of any relationship is to help facilitate my own transformation into the divine being that I am. And it's the same true. I hold that to be true for all of us in reality, that all of our relationships are places where we're working out our own personal transformation. And by transformation, I mean the active awareness in our consciousness of who and whose we are. That we are divine beings. We are children of God. That is our foundational nature before we have a name, before we have a gender, before we have a socioeconomic status, or any other kind of thing that we define ourselves by. At the foundation, we are divine beings. And that's our second principle, isn't it? Our first principle, there's only one power, one presence active in the universe in our lives, God the good. We are created in the image and likeness of this power and presence. Therefore, we too are divine beings. Right? That's what we teach ourselves. That's what we affirm for ourselves. But how often are we challenged by that in our day-to-day experiences? If we're focusing our attention on the activities of the world, for example, there's invitations every single day, multiple invitations every single day to take us out of that awareness of what these truths are. And how do we know if we've been taken away from embodying that truth? The first condition that gets mortgaged in the process is our personal peace. So if you find that you're not at peace for any reason, as A Course in Miracles teaches us, then I've simply chosen wrongly, right? I'm not seeing correctly if my peace is challenged. If I want to have my peace reestablished, to get back into that state of consciousness, A Course in Miracles teaches us to choose again. Y'all know that, like after about 670 pages of text, some of it pretty heady, that it ultimately comes down to those two words, choose again. If you want to be at peace and you're not at peace, you have chosen wrongly. You have chosen in error. You have temporarily, and it stresses that word temporarily time and time again, temporarily forgotten who you are. And if you want to reestablish that peace, then choose again. Well, okay. Choose what? Choose what? Love. In fact, Course in Miracles takes up a lot of time making the point that what we're really doing all day long, and we make thousands, if not tens of thousands of choices a day, and that what we're really choosing between is love and fear. Love and fear. Love and fear. Love brings us into harmony. Love brings us into the awareness of our fundamental foundational oneness, not only with one another in oneness, but really it brings that unity within as well. Like any kind of dissension that might be going on in my own consciousness, that when I'm choosing from love, the universal love, then my peace is restored. I move into a state of what heart math would call coherence. Any heart math students around here? Coherence is a big deal. And getting ourselves into that, we use meditation, silent prayer, and so forth, any of those kinds of activities to bring us into this coherence within. And you can feel it. Can you feel it? Like sometimes when you're getting ready to go into meditation and there's still kind of static out here, and you continue breathing and you feel everything coming back, and there comes a moment when you get real centered where it feels like you've kind of drawn your energy field right there into your body. You can kind of feel it when it kind of locks down, like, I am right here. My mind is not out there anymore. It's not being distracted temporarily from the world, because as soon as we get out of that state of coherence and we start moving about, once again, we're invited time and time again to move out of coherence. And it becomes a conscious choice on our part to choose that love. And we are already choosing it. It's a foundational activity, that choice between love and fear. Y'all have heard this probably in one context or another before, but it's said that, estimated that, smarter people than me, I guess, have figured this out, but that we think somewhere in the vicinity of 60,000 thoughts a day, give or take. 60,000 thoughts a day running through the activity of our consciousness. 80% of those thoughts that pass into our consciousness and through our consciousness are fear-based. 80%. How do I know I've chosen that? Well, if I'm judging somebody, I've chosen that. If I'm attempting to rid someone or kick someone out of the oneness, you don't belong here for saying that. Let's kick you out of the oneness. Well, where are we going to kick them to? How far do you have to kick them to get them outside of the oneness? There's really no place that you can kick them outside of the oneness. So they're going to be in the oneness with me, no matter what I do, no matter what fit I pitch, right? So it becomes incumbent upon me that if I'm going to be at peace in this oneness with this person, it's not incumbent upon me to change them. It's incumbent upon me to change my mind about them and to reestablish my own peace. It brings the onus and the personal responsibility always back to me. I can't make Batman responsible for my peace, right? I can try, but he's got his own work to do. He's got his own peace to embody. And if you're like me, that's a full-time job. It's a full-time job staying in that, continuing to affirm that there is only one power, one presence active in the universe. There is only one power, love, and it's a harmonizing power. It's a unifying power, right? We have to practice that, just like practicing those fundamentals in baseball. We have to practice that until we're no longer really thinking about it, that we're just simply embodying it. And it's really easy to see the target. It's not necessarily an easy thing to be on target at all times. In fact, quite frankly, sometimes it can be exhausting. Has anybody ever had that experience where, please, not another learning experience? I had too many of those yesterday. I need a day off. But we don't ever really get a day off, because wherever we go, there we are, right? Right? I can distance myself from someone else that's disturbing my peace, but I can't make myself at peace if I'm continuing to entertain the thoughts of that person and that conflict with that person whenever I'm 1,000 miles away. I'm ultimately responsible. I want to read a couple of things from A Course in Miracles to kind of throw in here into the mix here. At the very beginning of A Course in Miracles in the text, the first chapter, the first section, outlines 50 principles of miracles. Now, I'm not going to read all 50, so everybody, but I am going to read the first 3. There are 3 short little statements here to kind of get into our consciousness with what we're talking about here today with the one love. So these are the principles of miracles 1, 2, and 3. First one, there is no order of difficulty in miracles. One is not harder or bigger than another. They are all the same. All expressions of love are maximal. All expressions of love are maximal. Now, if I'm practicing special love, if I'm practicing that, then I'm saying for my wife and my kids and my dog, my close family and everything, I keep them close. They're up here at a 10. And then we kind of go down to the ranking. Well, I got friends and I got acquaintances and people that I run into at work and this, that, and the other. And we think we can say, well, I love my family at 10, but, the person from our graduating class in high school that I had challenges with, maybe 4 or 5, No, all expressions of love are maximal. It's like a 0 or a 1. It's either on or off. I'm either expressing love or, in A Course in Miracles languages, I'm expressing fear. And so as Charles says, there is only one love, but we practice it in limited ways sometimes. And when we practice it in limited ways, we're unable temporarily, and I keep stressing that word temporarily, to access that universal expression of love. The universal expression of love, agape love, so to speak, that's sort of our goal. But it's not out there. It's not a destination. It's actually present right here, right now. Right here with me, right here with you. A Course in Miracles also says later that the purpose of the Course is not to teach the meaning of love, because that's kind of beyond our ability to teach and really kind of beyond our ability to even understand the meaning. What the purpose of the Course is to remove the obstacles to the awareness of love's presence. And that's like in the parable of, y'all heard the one, the log in the eye and the speck in the eye, right? If I can remove the log from my own eye so that I can see more clearly what is mine to do in this moment. And the second principle here, second principle of miracles, miracles as such do not matter. The only thing that matters is their source, which, as I said a moment ago, is far beyond evaluation. The source of the miracles is love. And musicians will know this, and maybe you'll know this as music fans and everything. It's been estimated that somewhere around 80 to 85% of all songs ever written are love songs. It's the number one subject that we write about. Poets also. I mean, we're always trying to find a way to communicate this ineffable quality, it's a creative power. It's way beyond mere emotion. It's way beyond that. But we practice it sometimes in limited ways, and we attach emotion to it. I feel love. No, you are love. And love is expressing through you. I might feel the energy of your expression of that love, and I can say, oh, I'm feeling that. Yeah, I'm feeling that. And that's true. But I can't feel it if I don't already on some level resonate with it, if I don't already on some level recognize it, right? And how do we recognize it even if we don't have the language for it? It's because that's who we are. We are born as divine beings, as children of God. And if God is love, then so am I. My work is to remove all the blocks to the awareness of who I am so that I can more fully embody that. This third principle of miracles, miracles occur naturally as expressions of love. The real miracle is the love that inspires them. In this sense, everything that comes from love is a miracle. The Course teaches that miracles are naturally occurring. They're everywhere present. They're around us all the time. It's not necessarily how we think of them. We think of miracles as being an extraordinary kind of event, something that happens outside of what we think of as reality, the principles of reality. But if miracles are naturally occurring and I'm not seeing the miracle, it's not evidence that the miracle is missing or absent. It's only evidence that I'm not seeing correctly. And if I want to see the miracles, I must change my mind. That's the hardest thing in A Course in Miracles. In fact, it says at some point in there that the only true miracle is a changed mind.
Wow.
Because it would be a miracle that I would choose that. That is the miracle. Because once I've chosen that and chosen to see that, then miracles are everywhere present. And don't we teach that, right? God is everywhere present, which is another way of saying love is everywhere present. And it's the same one love, many expressions, some coming from a limited consciousness and some coming from that universal consciousness. And not only are we capable of choosing both, but we do choose both. That brings, once again, the onus of that responsibility back to me. How do I know if I've chosen other than love? I'm not at peace. It's really simple. It's simple to recognize. It's not necessarily easy to get myself back on course sometimes, depending on how plugged in I am with those external circumstances. But it ultimately brings that back to that same fundamental choice, that that's what I'm choosing all day long. I said a moment ago, we think 60,000 thoughts a day and 80% of those are fear-based. That study goes on to say that 80% of those 80% of thoughts that we're choosing fear, 80% of those thoughts are redundant and repetitious. We get stuck in a groove and we're thinking the same thoughts over and over and over and over. The good news is, out of that analogy there, is that we're choosing love 20% of the time. If we're choosing fear 80% of the time, we're choosing love 20% of the time. And because the power of love is exponentially greater than the force of fear, we're somehow able to keep the cars in between the lanes a little bit. Right? Because ultimately, fear is not even a real power. It's not even real. That love is the only real power. We don't say, well, there's a power and presence of love in the universe, and we attribute that to God and good. And then the second principle is, oh, there's also a countervailing power that's negative and fear-based. We don't count that as a principle. We only say that love is the power. Love is the source of miracles. Love is the creative power which we were created from and which we are intended to embody. That is our path. That transformation, as it were, is not a one-time event. Transformation is an ongoing process. Change is inevitable. Change is going to happen in the world. We all know that by now. Changes are going on outside this sanctuary this morning while we're sitting here practicing this. So change is inevitable, but transformation is optional. And it's optional because it requires my engagement. And once again, that's the true miracle, right? That I would change my mind about that process and see, oh, well, I'm not looking for revelation and epiphany just to come down on me, and then once it comes down on me, then I'm good to go for the rest of my life. It's like, no. One of the most humbling things that I've learned in life is this. Anytime I say out loud, make a statement, make an expression, claim some sense of mastery, progress on my path. Oh yeah, I got that one down. I'm doing that one all right. Yeah, I'm good. Guess what happens in the next 5 minutes? God sends me an opportunity to see if I'm actually capable of doing that. And usually the opportunity comes at me so fast that I don't recognize it for what it is, a response to my statement. And I usually fall short of the glory in that moment. Right? And so once again, that's a humbling thing. It's like, okay, don't claim mastery. Just practice. Just like those professional baseball players. Just practice the fundamentals. And the fundamentals for me are really easy. It's the 5 principles. I get a lot of mileage out of the 5 principles. I use them virtually every single day in conversations, reference points. I also get a lot of mileage out of the 4 agreements, actually the 5 agreements. Y'all know the 5 agreements, Don Miguel? Practical principles that I can put into play and I can see. Don Miguel doesn't use the language of peace, so to speak. He draws that distinction between suffering and needless suffering. And that most of what passes for suffering in my experience and in the world is needless. It's self-created because I'm taking things personally. I'm not doing my best. I'm not being impeccable with my word, right? If I'm not practicing those principles, then I won't get the rewards from what it takes to do that. And it's the same way with me for the unity principles. The 5th one is an action principle. And we must practice these. We must embody these. Otherwise, we're just playing, intellectual games. We're sitting around having coffee and discussing metaphysical concepts and everything. But if we don't embody them, they don't really have any power, any efficacy in our lives. So we have to embody that, and we have to continue to practice allowing that one love to express through in a way that achieves, or approaches anyway, that universal expression of love, rather than our special, limited. But whether I'm practicing the special, limited form of love or universal love, it's still the same one love. But I can only express it from not only the level of consciousness that I've embodied or gained in the course of my life, but what I'm willing to express, what I'm willing to be allowed to express to me. That's another concept from A Course in Miracles, that it says, you're not asked to believe any of this. You're really not asked to believe any of what the Course is teaching. What you are asked to do is to practice what you're being taught in A Course in Miracles. And if you practice that, then your own experience will prove the value of it. You won't have to have someone persuade you or convince you or talk you into it if you just practice it. And how do we practice that? Through willingness. Y'all do know that the month of August is the power of will, is the power of the month for the month of August. How appropriate, right? I always laugh whenever, sometimes I look at the daily word before I plan a talk. Most times I don't, and I'm astounded time and time again at how often the daily word for the Sunday talk that I've planned is right in alignment with what I planned. And this morning when they said the word was holy, I was like, oh, there it goes again, right? 1 is the holiest number. So I could take this talk, 1 is the holiest number, 1 power, 1 presence, 1 love. I probably should just call it 1 from now on, just the word 1. Yeah, I'm going to come in and talk about 1 today. 1 what? Just 1. Just 1, because really that's the only reality, and that's the reality that I'm attempting to move my consciousness into and to embody. I want to move into the closing here. I want to read one more thing. This also comes from A Course in Miracles. This comes from chapter 18 of A Course in Miracles. A chapter is called The Real World. Love is not learned because there never was a time in which you knew it not. Learning is useless in the presence of your Creator, whose acknowledgement of you and yours of Him so far transcends all learning that everything you learned is meaningless, replaced forever by the knowledge of love and its one meaning. And it goes on to say, to name what that one meaning is, and the one meaning is life. And God is the giver of life. So we have all kinds of attributions to, God is love, right? God is also life. God is substance. God is creative power. God is omnipresence. Not God is omnipresent, but the very definition of presence itself. God is not all powerful. God is all power. God is omnipotence. God is not all knowing. God is all knowledge. God is not omniscient. God is omniscience. And guess what the good news is? I and you are created in the image and likeness of this power and presence. So it is within our capability, it is within the meaning of our own lives, is to get in touch with that. That's what we do in Unity Fourth Principle, don't we? We go into the silence to do what? To cultivate that awareness that we are in the midst of the one power and one presence, wherever we are, in whatever circumstances. How many times do y'all withdraw during the course of your day to actually take time in the silence? I know I'm talking to an evolved crowd here and everything, but how many times do we forget to withdraw from what's going on in the world, to take that time to get recentered, to recalibrate ourselves into the awareness of God's love? That is our practice. So if you find yourself not at peace for any reason, there's no need to parse out why it is. Just know that I've chosen wrongly. I've chosen fear instead of love. And if I want to restore my peace, then I must choose again. And that's ultimately where this comes down to, that constant process. And when you talk about it and you break it down like this, it feels like it's a lot of work. Oh my God. What do you mean I got to make 60,000 choices today? I haven't even had my coffee yet. But that's it. But we're doing it so often and so repetitiously that we don't even realize oftentimes that we're actually choosing. This is not baked in the cake. If you don't like the cake that you're eating, then toss it and go cook another cake. Put the ingredients back together, choose again. And as we choose again and move out of that limited expression of love into the more universal expression of love, then we're moving towards our peace. Because peace is the consequence of choosing love. Peace is not a separate a la carte item. Oh yeah, I think I'll have a little bit of forgiveness today, a little compassion, a little prosperity conscious, and how do I have some peace? I'll just have some peace. Let me put that on the tray too. No, we choose love, and all of those other conditions are the effect and consequence. We demonstrate compassion when we're choosing love. We demonstrate abundance consciousness and prosperity, which is ultimately demonstrating safety as well when we're choosing from that love. Love is the cause, peace is the effect and consequence. So when you find yourself not at peace, just know you've simply chosen wrongly. You've simply chosen wrongly, temporarily chosen wrongly, and you can cancel. My mother used to say that all the time. Cancel, cancel. Right? You say something unpleasant about somebody, cancel, cancel. You know, make sure your words are sweet and everything, because one day you might have to eat them, right? Mother had that kind of wisdom about her. Cancel, cancel. And it's the same thing. Choose again, choose again. And you're already doing it. We're already doing it. It's what we do all day long. The only variable is, are we conscious of it or unconscious of it? We're certainly capable of it. So with that, I want to move into a brief time of meditation here. So what I want to invite you to do right now is to just forget everything I just said. Because you already know it. You already know it. For those of you who are with us online and everything, I just invite you, wherever you are, if it's comfortable and appropriate, just to put everything aside for a moment and bring your attention and intention into this space of preparing for the silence. And as we do, just take a 2 or 3 or 4 centering breaths, just breathing in that energy of love, and on the exhale, releasing everything that is not love. And as you do, you feel your attention moving deeper and deeper into the presence, deeper and deeper into that space of silence where we connect with and commune with the divine. There is nothing to learn. There is only us to bring ourselves into the awareness of God's power, God's presence. Wherever we are, God is. And all is well in the silence. As we begin to draw our attention gently back into the sanctuary, we do so in the awareness, once again, that wherever we are, God is. Wherever we are, God is. Wherever God is, love is. And so wherever we are, love is as well. So the only appropriate answer to that, the only appropriate response is thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, living, loving Spirit. Thank you for the power of love. Thank you for creating me in the image and likeness of that love. Thank you for helping me to see and become aware and practice that awareness of love. Thank you for allowing me to be an expression, a channel, a conduit for the expression of love. We pray all of this and more in the name and the nature of the indwelling Christ. And so it is, and so we allow it to be. Amen.
So if we don't feel peace, we can choose again, and we can choose love. With grateful hearts, we put our prosperity into action as we circulate our good. Let's take a moment to bring this truth into our hearts as we prepare our offerings and as our ushers come forward. As a reminder, there are many ways to share your gifts with Unity of Wimberley. We are a tithing church that supports our community and beyond with gratitude. You can find the details to our payment options on our website or by scanning this QR code on the screen. We thank you for the gifts you have sent already and the gifts that you are sending now. And now let us offer this affirmation of abundance together. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive.
1, 2, 3, 4. Can you hear the wind blowing? Can you see the trees growing? Can you feel the sun glowing as it warms your face? Can you hear the birds singing? Can you see the love he's bringing? Can you feel yourself clinging to a love that came by grace? Everywhere you look, you see his hand. Every breath by his command. God is everywhere. His gentle touch, it fills the air. God is everywhere. His loving heart, his loving care. Do you see the sun he gave you? Do you know the love it saved you? Do you feel the spirit inside you crying out to him? Can you see his power within you? Do you see the world that needs you? Can you speak the words he gives you and bring them life again? Everywhere you look, you see his hand. Every breath by his command. God is everywhere. His gentle touch, it fills the air. God is everywhere. His loving heart, his loving care. God is everywhere. His gentle touch, it fills the air. God is everywhere. His loving heart, his loving care. Oh yeah.
Ooh, where am I? Yes, that was amazing. With full hearts, let us bless these gifts together. We bless these gifts and the givers with our love and gratitude. As we wrap up our service, we have a few announcements. Reverend Jill is back next Sunday. Aww. Be sure to join us for her talk, The Gifts of Gratitude. For information on all of our upcoming groups and events, please go to the events page at unityofwimberley.com. Side note, Wise Women are meeting on Saturday at 10 a.m. Bring a dish to share. If you would like to contribute to the Emily Ann Christmas Gazebo, please see Leslie Howe after the service in the fireside room. Please tune in every Thursday at 1 p.m. on Facebook Live with Reverend Jill for midday reflections, and check us out on Instagram. Crisis Bread Basket's back-to-school needs are now canned evaporated milk, peanut butter, juice box drinks, and applesauce. Jars or individual servings would be great. You can bring donations here, or you can mail a monetary gift directly to P.O. Box 1721, Wimberley, Texas 78676. For prayer requests, ways to get involved, or care team needs, please send emails to the addresses you see on the screen. A reminder, Jan McGowan is available to pray with you after the service, and our prayer request box and gratitude jar are on the fireside room buffet. And if you are visiting today, please consider filling out a blue information card located on the front foyer table so that we can welcome you properly. Now, let's sing in our kids. Do we have kids?
You are a light, you are a light, you are a light in this world. You are a light, you are a light, you are a light in this world. And you shine, and you shine, and you shine so bright. And you shine, and you shine, and you shine so bright.
Now, let's bless these children, children and youth of Unity. We love you, we bless you, we appreciate you just the way you are. And that brings us to the close of our service. Please join us as we pray our prayer of protection. The light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
I release